So I guess we're starting now. This is what we're doing. Yeah. So Signature Series guitars. There's so many of them.
There's a few.
There's a ton of them. There's like, especially when we talk about Fender, there's always a new Signature Series guitar that I don't know who the artist is. Well, I do. You don't.
I don't.
Because you don't stay up to date. I try to listen to
You try. You do a good job. You do a good job.
Like Kid Leroy and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. I know who that is. He's got devil horns. I think he's Canadian, probably. I assume he is because I think he's Justin Bieber's lover.
He's got devil horns?
He doesn't have a guitar. Anyway.
Maybe he should.
God, that'd be funny. There's so many, but then there's so many that aren't there.
There's some that aren't.
Why are they not there? Like the most iconic of icons, like why is this not a thing? And then we want to explore like the idea of what is the ecosphere of Signature Series guitars, what is the purpose, and like why certain brands will do some, why they won't do certain other ones. And it's just kind of a fun conversation about it.
It is fun.
It's because we were fascinated. I mean,
sometimes it's pretty random. Seemingly random. Like, how did so-and-so get a signature? I mean, not to take away from anyone, it is a fantastic achievement if you have your own Signature Series.
Well, I mean,
kudos to you, but it's strange sometimes.
That was my thought when her first had her Signature Series come out. I was like, why would they do this? This doesn't make any sense. And then she sort of blew up on the scene, like more so than she already was. And so Fender actually nailed that one.
Yeah.
Because I remember getting phone calls, do you have any hers? I'm like, we're out of hers, which is weird to say. But that was one that I did not see coming.
No, yeah, I mean.
There's then like the Tosh Sultana one, that didn't really pop off, so.
Not as much.
But the her one like really did, 'cause she played the, what was that? It was like one of like Star Spangled Banners at one of the sporting events. And that was like a huge moment of like positivity and female empowerment, guitar player. It was a cool thing. But then like we're like, where are some of the biggest ones ever? Like we're missing like
John Frusciante.
Where's
the John Frusciante Strat or White Falcon?
I mean, that makes no sense to me that doesn't exist.
I mean, and part of me has to wonder, like, do some artists, when they approach them, just like, that's not my thing. I don't want a Signature Series.
And that could be, like, or it might be like a financial thing too, where it's like, they can't come to an agreement. Because there's obviously financials involved in this. John Mayer, when he switched from Fender to PRS, it wasn't just completely altruistic.
Sure.
There's money involved. You might get a higher percentage. You also, but I think why John did that was like he got to have a lot more creative control.
Some say in what was happening. Yeah.
And Paul and him just sort of like nerded out and got in this room and they were playing with their 8-sided dice. Like, should it be a Strat? Should it be a Les Paul? I should know. It's gonna be. And my dragon kills your.
That makes me happy to think about.
Whatever. Whatever fights the dragon. Paladin. Sorry, that was one of the classes in D&D.
Could be a mage.
Yeah, mage.
Throw some fire.
The wizard is about to die from Gauntlet. No, it's but yeah, there's a lot of this. There's business maneuvering. There's personalities, but I mean, John Frusciante seems like a no-brainer.
It just seems like that should be a thing.
The one that we're sort of championing, and let us know if you think of it, Richard Lloyd Strat.
There you go.
Why is there not a Richard Lloyd Stratocaster?
Or who is Richard Lloyd? You might be saying.
Well, I mean, you might say that, but we look at all these these sort of arbitrary sort of new artists that are getting here's a Signature Series, or here's one for the guy from what's the band I really love that does the Sweetness and are you listening? Whoa. This huge band. Oh, golly, jeez, I've gone blank. You just fill me in. They have a signature guitar. I just went blank. I love that band. Oh, they have 2 great songs.
Oh, Jimmy Eat World.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. I think they're really, but it's just funny that has a Signature Series guitar.
Just take some time.
Yeah.
In the middle. I don't know.
That's the why could I remember the Sweetness.
Listen, that little guitar solo, they're just all pull-offs and hammer-ons, right? And the beats, I have totally assimilated that into my playing.
I think that is pretty much your playing style.
I mean,
it's you are. So he is a Jimmy Eat World
disciple.
That's cool. I never thought of it. I just realized it because I listened to you playing. Why do I love it but hate it at the same time so much? I
get that reaction a lot, except without the love it part.
You get that at home a lot too.
I do.
With your parenting abilities. We've been talking about that a lot this morning. We won't get into it. It's going to upset Jonathan. It's going to upset him.
It's too late. I'm already upset.
No, but Richard Lloyd Strat, though, he's one of the most iconic of punk rock,
Yeah.
like of a great punk rock guitar player, and has a very iconic guitar. Like his Strat is, you don't forget it once you see it. It's beautiful. I've gotten to play it. It's amazing. It's what turned me on to Strats. I was a Gibson guy until I played that very guitar.
There you go.
And I was like, oh, Strats can be good.
That's when you had your Eric Clapton moment. Your awakening. Bam. Fender for life.
I mean, it was a big moment.
That's cool.
Because I'd just been playing like '90s Strats.
Yeah.
And like I'd seen some old '80s Strats, and like that's what I knew is like a Stratocaster. I was like, oh, then I played like a 1961 Rockstar Strat. I was like, oh, this is really good.
Different.
Oh, I never played a vintage guitar. That really, you just don't. It wasn't a thing.
Especially a good vintage guitar. That's cool.
And like one that's the guitar. Anyway,
Yeah.
And that should be a thing. We were talking about Chris Stapleton's Jazzmaster, maybe. Why is that not a thing yet? Is it in the works, Fender?
It's interesting to me that they made a Chris Stapleton amp before they made a Chris Stapleton guitar.
And that amp, I wish it had reverb.
Oh, yeah.
And I get it why it doesn't, but I always like Princeton's with reverb.
Or any amp.
I mean, okay, that is the one thing I want on almost every amp. And I'm friends with these guys that make amps too, and they're like, no, we gotta have this pure circuit. I'm like, you guys are stupid.
I played this like
Shut up.
Plexi amp like yesterday when my students bought it in with reverb, and it was fantastic.
That's all it needs.
It had an attenuator built in. It was basically like an 18 watt sort of blues breaker kind of clone thing with reverb.
Yeah, all you boutique amp makers out there, I'm talking to you in Detroit,
reverb in.
A friend of mine. Yeah, put some reverb. It's not a sin. I know it messes with the circuit a little bit. Just redesign it a tad.
Well, let's say that you don't want to do that. Just put in the effects loop basically a built-in like pedal. It could be plate reverb. That would be amazing.
Anything. That's
where I don't have to plug a pedal in, where I can literally just go to my gig and, oh, here it is dirty. Oh, I got my reverb. Okay, cool. Done.
And then everybody's happy. So, yeah, just...
You're welcome for that.
Just stop. Who would have thought we got into that? Bruce Springsteen.
Has he never had... I guess he's never had one.
The fact that there's not a Bruce Springsteen Telecaster in production at any given time makes no sense to me.
No, because that's a really iconic Telecaster. Has there never been like a custom shop one or anything?
I mean,
that is hard for me to believe.
Well, I don't even worry about it. There's never been except we looked at the Eric Johnson. That's still in production from day one to day 8,642, and then the Eric Clapton is still in production, hasn't stopped. They've had different incarnations of the Johnson. But the fact that he hasn't been as moving of a force as Bruce by any stretch, as far as people picking up a guitar and playing it. Johnson's one of my favorites, but people see Bruce in that Tele, and
it's just even if you're not a guitar player, it's iconic. At one point there was a Fiesta Red, I think, Mark Knopfler Signature Series Strat.
Yes, I think so.
Is that still a thing?
No,
it's not. Right? No. It's funny to me that Eric Jonathan's still there, Clapton's still there. No Mark Knopfler.
Well, it's hard to spell Knopfler.
It is Knopfler.
Knopfler.
It's
confusing. No, it's if you don't like Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen, there's something disconnected in your brain that it has joy in it. The guitar, everything, Clarence is playing, the whole thing. Max Weinberg just crushing it. Yeah, I know the members of the band. That's disturbing. I didn't know I knew this. My favorite guy's the rhythm guitar player, though.
What's his name? Little Stevie.
I love him. I just love him so much.
Little Stevie.
He's one of my favorite guitar players.
He's just such a character, He has the little do-rag thing on.
Like him and Izzy Stradlin are my favorite rhythm guitar players.
Like when they're playing, he's like, all right, come on now. I'm just like, that's so good and yet not. But it's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
I want him and Steven Seagal to have a band together at some point.
Come on now.
I love both of them. I love them both in different ways.
No disrespect at all. It really is. It's awesome.
But then you get into we talked about the guys that have sort of weird runs, like the ones that we don't know about. But then these really obscure ones are but also let's talk about Slash. Slash pretty much.
I think that every time they think about someone else's signature series and then they nix it, they don't do it, they just give Slash another one. That's the default.
I mean,
they're like Bruce Springsteen, no, Slash Epiphone.
What about Mark Knopfler? Nope, Slash Stratocaster. built by Gibson.
He played it one time on this one record back in,
He held a Strat once.
Right.
And he did this thing, but he chose he didn't like it. But no, Slash has his own ecosphere of guitars. And I'm not going to say it's wrong either, because people are like, why there's so many Slash guitars? This is a fun little fact. Sweet Child of Mine has been streamed on Spotify for a time worth of 11,000 years.
Not hours, not days.
11,000 years worth of listening to Sweet Child of Mine. And I think that is not enough.
Arguably more than all of human history. It listens, in hours of listening.
Like Jesus
Slash.
wasn't even a thought in God's mind.
No.
You know, like the pyramids are like, well, that might be a cool thing in the desert one day. The desert's probably a nice tropical rainforest at this point. And it's part of a different continent. Who knows? I don't know my human history apparently. But no, but it's
do any of this.
if you haven't listened to Sweet Child of Mine, and you're watching this channel, you have to have listened to Sweet Child of Mine.
Probably.
It's one of the best guitar solos ever for rock and roll, I think.
It is.
You look at like the Eagles, Hotel California, you look at Sweet Child of Mine, you got some of Hendrix's entire catalog, Clapton's catalog.
But it's there.
What's that song with that Derek and the Dominoes band?
Never heard of them.
Yeah, it's that alone is just
Never heard of them.
Their existence.
Yeah.
It's but so Slash is a different thing.
I would say so.
So it's a whole business model, and he is the ambassador of Gibson.
Yes.
And he brings you into, if he's rock and roll.
He is rock and roll.
He's rock and roll. I mean, Joe Bonamassa is the blues guy.
Right.
You were saying Slash.
Oh, well, it's funny to me. You see a guy like Slash who has his own ecosphere, right? And we're talking about guys who don't have their signature series. Then you see a guy maybe like a Jared James Nichols, who his signature model has blown up. And don't get me wrong, he is fantastic. I love him. But kind of burst onto the scene, larger than life personality, has become like a Gibson brand ambassador. No history like Slash, but I mean that's a huge thing.
Because he doesn't have like the catalog of music in the same way. But if you like, I mean, let's say you like Joe Bonamassa, you really like him. We all understand he's a phenomenal player. But then you hear Jared James Nichols, you're like, but that's who I want to be.
That's like rock. It's so
that's
raw.
who I want to be.
No.
I mean, because you don't necessarily want to be like the guy with the baseball cap and like, and just like kind of like Nerdville and all that stuff. Everybody wants to be Slash and Jared James Nichols.
Yeah.
And like some they're kind of corny or something. They're not corny. The amount of girls that those guys have seen it's 11,000 years worth of girls that these guys have seen in their life.
Probably true.
And it's like that. That's why we all got into the guitar as young kids. It wasn't to like to collect this like swath of instruments and to play like super shreddy. It was like because you look cool, and I mean I got in because I just didn't have any friends and no one liked me.
What else were you gonna do? It's true.
No, those guys are. I mean, you kind of have a little Jared James in you, mixed with Chris Stapleton, mixed with Dave Grohl.
I have 4 Facebook photo reviews on my phone right now where they thought I was Dave Grohl.
I mean,
4 separate ones. It happens all the time, but I got 4 yesterday, which was a new record for me.
You're not as nice as he is.
No.
You haven't been trolled by the Westboro Baptist Church yet either.
One day.
Multiple times. He was just playing at some Bee Gees for them on his 18-wheeler, which I appreciate.
Which
Dave
is,
Grohl.
what they deserve.
Thumbs up. I mean, they deserve some good music and some happiness. It's
Bee Gees is great.
Well, and like there's some other weird ones that just kind of like the Bono Gretsch.
Pretty strange. That's the Irish Falcon.
That makes no sense to me. I don't know if that's in production anymore.
I don't know if it is or not.
The Joe Walsh PRS, that was a limited run.
Yep.
That was just kind of funny to me. I was like, oh, Joe Walsh PRS. But he's had 1,000 signature series, right?
He's had the cool like Duesenberg. Duesenberg's had some fun ones. The Mike Campbell and the Joe Walsh are both cool models.
The ones that like sort of like we're leaving to the end that we think are really cool is the guys that a lot of people don't know who they are, but their lines blow up. Jay Mascis. His Squires and his new like blue telly and like anything that Jay Mascis makes is just good.
It's funny that the guitars have like this sort of life of their own. They have like their own sort of cult status outside of the actual artist's music. I think that's
I think a large percent of people that buy that guitar have no idea who Jay Mascis is.
Well, I mean, I think I see them a lot in sort of like the the worship sphere, you know, the church.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. I didn't know that. I just thought it'd be like the young punk kids that finally afford one of these things, and because the Squires were affordable.
They were super affordable, and if you wanted an offset, you know, I mean, the thought I think was it was just a great guitar at a great price to get into that world. So there you go.
Okay, and then Mateus Asado.
There you go.
Like that, his Sir. Like that is one of their more popular lines, and it's awesome, and it's pink, and it sounds great, it plays great, but a lot of people don't know who that guy is.
What a freaking monster player, though.
He's pretty good, right?
He's so good.
He's
If I could just watch Instagrams of him and Jared James Nichols, I would do that.
They're so different.
They're so different, and that's why I would feel well-rounded.
Because like Mateus is so calm and smooth, and like Jared James like throwing the guitar, like
ripping the strings off.
I love how he does that.
I do too.
Because like you meet him and he's a gentle giant.
He is a giant.
He's kind of like the cowardly lion in person. Because he's just fluffy, like, oh, if I only had courage. No, but he's just so, you just want to hold him and like cradle him in your arms and just like, and braid his hair and comb it. And
I feel like you could cradle his head. I don't feel like you could hold him.
Yeah, you could cradle his head.
You could cradle his head.
His head's like the size of a giant.
Into your,
this is his head.
You know. But the rest of him would be way down there because he's very tall.
Or like cradle him like the baby in Twilight, in the Twilight Saga. I'm not saying who this baby is. It's not giving anything away. But there's a baby in it.
No spoilers.
No, there's a baby in the movie, and like it's one of the worst moments in movie history when they CGI like another baby on top of this baby's face because they didn't like the way that he was acting, I guess. It's a horror show of...
I mean, the baby was like, you know, intelligent and conscious. Not that all babies are, but...
Don't give me the
Sorry.
away.
Sorry. Sorry. That's a classic.
Some kid at school got knocked up, probably. That's what the baby is. I'm guessing.
Probably. There you go.
I haven't seen the Twilight Saga 35 times and didn't dress up in character to the movies, the premiere. That's
absolutely not. No.
Promise. I mean, that kind of wraps it up on our signature series. I think that's like no.
There's one more important one.
Oh, there's a person. Okay, go ahead.
This guitar had some special tuning capabilities.
Yeah, who?
The Kiefer Sutherland Gibson.
I thought you were gonna say the Mike Campbell Rickenbacker.
No, I'm setting you up for this.
No, thank you.
I'm setting you up for your joke.
I think we did write a joke out for this one. It only stays in tune for 24 hours.
Yeah,
that's really good. There was a Kiefer Sutherland Gibson.
There was.
But again, back to the economics of these guitars. God, so I didn't even get to do the delivery of it properly. I was just so excited about that.
I ruined it.
I forgot about Kiefer in this one.
My bad.
But no, there's these guitars are not made for massive sales a lot of the times. Like the Kiefer Sutherland, the Joe Walsh, these are small little runs. Right. They make a quick infusion of cash capital, create some excitement for the brand, a la PRS, Fender, Gibson, Sir, whatever it is. Some are built for a profit stream that is steady. Eric Johnson, Eric Clapton things. It's, you know, it diminishes and then goes up through the years depending on these artists' popularity. But a lot of times it is just a PR bump to bring brand awareness. Yeah. You know, they're not expecting to sell 10,000 Tosh Sultana guitars. You know, they're not. It's just not a thing. People, they built like what 5,000 of the Jimi Hendrix Strats maybe. So. For the world,
right?
It's not that many. When they did like the runs of certain ones, maybe it was like 2,000 at first, and then these sold. Let's build another 3,000 if we can get it done.
And that's, you know, some of them have to be like the J Masks. I can't imagine that they maybe they did. Maybe they're omniscient and all seeing, but I can't imagine that they foresaw that being such a huge seller and a constant in the line.
And that's
or like that crazy Les Paul signature series. It just keeps going.
That one's still doing pretty well.
Still doing okay.
And the
you know.
Yeah, so there's thought. These companies have thoughts, which I was dogging on them for a bit. I was like, why are you doing this dumb signatures? Oh, I kind of get it now.
Then they, you know, pop off.
I get it. Smart people. And the reason is also just to bring your attention, to get you excited to talk about stuff for a bit. They'll sell these few units. They can move on. They have not spent a ton of build slots away from other pieces that will sell to get this.
I do think an interesting thing for the future with things like the Gibson record label, where they have artists, and then if there's a PR push, is that going to tie in with signature series in a different way, where we see like the guitar company and the marketing and the PR push and the label all working together in a way we maybe haven't seen before?
Maybe.
Or maybe not.
Maybe. That's a good point. We see like PR with like record labels, everything changing. Like we were talking about, like, whether it be like podcast streaming labels.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I was gonna get into something nefarious, but I'm not going to. I'm done. Wrap me up, Jonathan. Let's stop before I go there.
So there you go. Let us know what you guys think. Do you like Signature Series? Would you play them? Or no, you would never do that? Let us know in the comments. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell so you don't miss these discussions in the future. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time.